Hey guys. With the way ammo's been going up the last few years, it's getting a little ridiculous, especially for your larger centerfire cartridges. And a lot of people are probably trying to find a cheaper way to shoot, and people are starting to kind of go back to the 22s. When I was a kid, we had about 7 or 8 22 caliber rifles and pistols, and we had one 20 gauge shotgun. It's a single shot Ithaca, and that's all we had. We didn't have any large caliber rifles or pistols, so I grew up shooting 22s, and the first thing I wanted to do when I turned 21 was go buy me a large caliber handgun and an assault rifle. So I think the first thing I did when I got my FOID card, I'm from Illinois, so we have to have a firearms ID card. When I got my card, I went and bought a 45 caliber Glock. I think it was a Model 21, and I bought an AK-47. I just couldn't wait to get a gun that had a little bit of power. But anyway, with the price of ammo now, I've got plenty of large caliber guns, but I want to do a lot more shooting, so I'm kind of getting back into the 22s. And these are the first two I bought. I had a Mark II a long time ago, liked it, but it kind of fell out of favor with the larger caliber handguns, but I found my way back. I bought a Smith & Wesson 22A there at the top, and a Beretta U-22 Neos. They're about the same price. I think the Smith & Wesson MSRP on that's about $269, and the Beretta is $275. So, really, they're the same price. I'm going to do a little torture test with them, I guess you could call it. I'm going to try to add a couple more 22s before I get started and really get rolling, but I've got about 400 or 500 rounds through each one of them, and I haven't had one single malfunction out of either one of them. So I'm real happy about that. I really figured I'd have more trouble. I've ran some Federal 22 bulk pack, and I ran some Winchester bulk pack through them. So I haven't really had any trouble yet. Had one round that wouldn't go off, but I think that was just a bad round. Other than that, they've been flawless. First off, I want to tell you a little bit about my opinion of both of them. I bought the Smith & Wesson first, and I really liked it. And I got a friend, or a couple of friends actually, that come over and shoot with me, and they don't have any 22s. So I thought, I'll get a couple of them, and we can get a little dueling tree out there and have a little fun. So I figured if I had 2 or 3 pistols, it'd be plenty for friends to come over and shoot with me. So I figured I'd add a couple more. But anyway, I bought that Beretta recently, and I'll tell you what, it's a really close match between the two. Kind of go over some stats here. As far as ergonomics go, got to give that edge to the Beretta. As you can see by the grip and some of the other things on it, it's a really smooth gun. It feels really good in your hand. The Smith's really a crude pistol. It's like they almost didn't finish it. It's real square. The finish on the gun it just feels really cheap, and like they just kind of made it out of the cheapest materials possible. So you got to give the ergos to the Beretta. The sights, they both have a rail on top. The Smith & Wesson sights are a little more plain. They don't have any white outlines or anything, so they're a little harder to line up, but they work. The Beretta, on the other hand, it has the white outlines. You can see there. It's kind of similar to a Glock, but the sights are definitely a lot better on that Beretta. Takedown. A lot of people complain about the takedown on the Smith & Wesson. There's a little white clip in there that everyone seems to lose when they take it apart. And they wear out after, a couple thousand rounds, and you got to buy more. It's kind of a hassle. Other than that, but I would say the Smith & Wesson is actually a little easier to take down. People say the Beretta's easy, but it takes a while. You've got to sit there, and there's this little I guess it's kind of a nut in there with some finger grooves, and you actually unbolt the barrel from the frame, and it's kind of a hassle to take apart. You got to hold it and sit there and unscrew the barrel, and it takes a while. I'm not real fond of it. I like guns that snap together, which is use this takedown piece right here to pop the Beretta or the Smith & Wesson apart, and it just pops right off. So it's a little easier. You just got to watch out because that little spring inside the Smith tends to go flying, and you'll lose your little white clip in there. And I think Smith & Wesson sent me one extra with it, and I've heard you can call them and they'll send you more, or you can order them off the website. They're probably 20 or 30 cents a piece, but you're going to spend like $7 in shipping. So if you're going to order some, I would order a lot. Anyway, Back to the guns here. Accuracy wise, it's not really a very fair comparison because the Smith and Wesson has a 5.5 inch barrel and the Beretta has a 4.5 inch barrel. So in theory, the Smith should be a little more accurate, and I found that to be the case. It is slightly more accurate. Uh, Beretta makes that gun with two other barrel lengths. Well, at least one other. I know they make a 6-inch barrel. I don't know if they make a smaller one or not, which I was thinking about getting, so it would be a little closer. Smith & Wesson also makes that gun in a 4-inch and a 7-inch barrel. So you can't really get a perfect matchup between the two to see which one's more accurate, but I'm going to try to find that 6-inch barrel. They're about, I think, $89 on Midway USA, so it's a real cheap upgrade to have. But I have found it to be slightly more accurate. I don't have them dialed in yet as far as the sights and all that. I've got this little contraption called a parallax shooting system, which I'm going to show you in another video, where you strap the guns down to this little vise, and it lets you test the accuracy, and you can line the sights up or line an optic up if you've got one. Haven't got that out yet, and I'll show you that in a new video that'll be coming out later, but for now we'll say that the Smith is slightly more accurate, but we'll call that a tie because it does have a longer barrel. As far as the value goes, they're about the same price, almost exactly the same price, within $5 on MSRP. So I would say the Beretta is actually probably a little better buy because it's just a little nicer gun for the money. Ergos and everything else, and fit and finish. But you can't go wrong with either one of them for a plinker. They're both real nice. Mags, this is another an area where the Beretta has a huge advantage. The mags are a lot cheaper. If you go on Midway USA or Smith & Wesson's website, you're going to pay $22 or $23 for the mags for that Smith & Wesson 22A, which seems ridiculous. They look like a $12 mag. Same thing with the Beretta, but you can buy their mags for, I think, $15.95, or if you go on CDNN's website, I think they've got them, they're like $12 a piece or something like that. I haven't checked. I'm going to order a few extra for it because they're so cheap. But anyway, quality-wise, they're exactly the same. The mags almost look identical, but the Berettas are a lot cheaper, so that's definitely a big advantage there. Both these companies, these are the low-end 22s. They both make nicer ones. Smith & Wesson has what's called a a Model 41, which has been around since I know at least the 70s. It may have even been before that, but anyway, it runs around $800, up to $1,000, depending on what model you get and how long the barrel is. Beretta has a Model 87, which is their top-of-the-line 22. It looks like it's based on a 92 FS pistol. The grip and a lot of the feel of it. It looks a lot like a Beretta 92 FS, and it runs around $800 to $900 also. It may be slightly cheaper than the Smith, but that's their high-end options. Wouldn't mind trying those out at some point, but that'll be further down the road. Other than that, that's pretty much it for these 22s. Like I said, we've got about 400 rounds through both of them with no malfunctions at all. Planning on getting, a few thousand, at least 2,000 or 3,000 through each one of them to give them a real test and see if we can break one of them. But when we get a couple more, we'll show you those, and maybe we can take you out and show you them in action. But other than that, that's the 22s. See you later.